to Miami's Community News. And our guest today is the councilman from the City of Doral, Pete Cabrera. Welcome and thank you for being here.
Thank you. It's an honor to be here again with you, Mike.
All right. So let's talk about your history with Doral. You've been in elected office in Doral for how long?
17 of the last 19 years since we started the city. I'm the longest serving council member.
So one of the things they've said is frequently that victory has many fathers, defeat has none. You have to take credit for being one of the fathers of Doral.
Absolutely. It's been one of my greatest honors in life, truthfully. And I guess not just being there, but to see everything we've been able to accomplish in the last 20 years, it's just amazing.
It is incredible. And again, you're a candidate for mayor.
Correct.
And for Doral, when we look at Doral, it's phenomenal. It is probably, for sure, Coral Gables would probably have a little problem with this, but I think you're the number one city in Miami-Dade County, period. Enough of the whole range of businesses, all right, from small to large. I think every international company seems like it's out there. Every bank down is there. You have some several big golf courses, right? And you have nice businesses that are there.
Yeah, it's really a mix that no other area in Miami-Dade County has, or probably, I don't even know, in the state. Like you're saying, the mix of businesses, the business, corporate centers, the residential, the gated community, the number of parks we have. Right now, we have a park with just 10 minutes walking distance from any residence in Doral. That's, I don't think, unheard of in this county. And so it is dynamic. It's funny because it's a combination of like a cosmopolitan city, but yet it's still a family community. And that's, I think, the rare blend that it has.
And when we look out there, we know healthcare is a big deal for everybody, all right? And Doral has lots of hospitals that have facilities there. Recently, Jackson Memorial Hospital opened up on, I think it's 25th Street?
25th Street.
25th Street, right off the Palmetto.
Right, correct.
Out there. And University of Miami is opening a facility.
Yes.
Tell us about that.
Well, we just did groundbreaking today for them. It's a 6-story, 150,000 square foot facility right across from City Hall. Highest end diagnostic center in the region for sure. And the great news also, we're expanding 84th Avenue. That's right on 84th Avenue across from City Hall. From 58th to 74th, there'll be 2 dedicated bus lanes that'll connect the Metro Rail station called Palmetto now. We're going to change it to Doral or whatever it's called over there. And it'll connect right there. So people from all over the county to go there or even go working. So it'll be a fabulous addition to our community.
That's one of the advantages you have out there, where you have this property that's out there. It's still being developed, all right? And to allow for a residential district, and people can decide even within that, do they want to be really close to shopping and entertainment, or do they want to be a little bit farther away? And
I live in one of those. I live in downtown Doral,
mm-hmm.
and it's fabulous. It's apartment living, but I walk down, I eat, I've put in 9 months on my car, I've put 5,000 miles.
I might have mentioned this. I was in, I'm not sure which one it was, but one of those entertainment centers. We're eating outside on the sidewalk, and there's a 5 or 6 story building, and there's a big sign up top.
That's City Place.
Okay. I took my phone out because there was a QR code on it, and I put it up. This is 5 stories up. All right. And it's an angle like this. And I read it. And it's giving me a commercial for beer that they serve. All right. And it was like, it was amazing that you could do that. And people are friendly, and if you're into younger people with their dogs and their kids, it's amazing. And you can still go to very high-end restaurants, or you can go to some more ones in the middle.
Yeah, the food has become amazing in Doral. These restaurants have opened up, a whole bunch of new ones, all different types of cuisines. It's really amazing. And that's also, at one time, you couldn't even find the restaurant open at night in Doral. There was no restaurants at first. And now people are coming in from all over the county, which was rare for Doral. They're discovering restaurants there.
We did a very informal survey about who has a town center in this down here. Well, South Miami does not. They've tried repeatedly over the last 20 years, didn't work. Pinecrest does not. Palmetto Bay does not. Cutler Bay does not. Will have maybe in 5 years when the new $1 billion project gets done.
Where's that? Cutler Bay?
In the old Cutler Ridge Mall.
Okay.
Mall. It's a big deal. Yeah, 80 acres.
Awesome.
Right? It's going to be this gigantic. The mayor's going to be here, Tim Murbot. We're going to be going over that. It's going to be
like a mixed-use project.
Yes.
I talked to them about that last year. I told them, don't hesitate. It's the greatest thing we ever did in Doral.
It makes everybody feel good about where they are. And you go there. And when my wife dragged me up to Doral, all right, and was like, oh, I should be coming here more often, all right?
I'll tell you one of the things that I shared with them last year, and when we first started the city, they shared about this, and which is why experience matters. We're always worried about traffic, and when you see this density going up, it worries you. And by our consultants at the time was Cordino, and still is for some of the things, told us the key to density is that all the uses and all the services are within a contained area, so that you don't have to drive. So we have a Publix, we have a school, we have restaurants, anything you can get there. We have a UPS store, and that's why I don't drive. I don't need. I got very few. So you save on traffic. So I told them last year, I go, do not hesitate. Mixed use is one of the greatest ways to have all the uses in one place and actually reduce traffic.
My son lives downtown. Well, they don't call it downtown, but it's across from out his window. You can see the arena,
Right.
which is right there. He walks downstairs, walks his dog, walks to Publix, walks to the drugstore. I get a call. I saw your son in his office. I go, what office is that? He's walking along whatever First Avenue is on his phone, talking to people.
Mhm.
So there he is conducting this. And then we went out to Wynwood the other day. It was wonderful to see that, how it changes when you're surrounded by the environment that you want to be in.
Right.
People are calmer, they're happier, raises happier kids.
And whoever Doral, the magic is, if you want the more traditional neighborhoods, they're right by there. And the fact that we have so many businesses in Doral, that's the other thing you see in a lot of people is they move there because either they work there or they want to start a business. And we've been classified among the top in the country for that. If you want to live somewhere and be able to open a business, Doral's a great place. And I know a lot of the restaurant owners live there. A lot of the local business owners or employees or directors live in Doral. Why? Because you don't have to get and drive 45 minutes of traffic.
My old dentist, Raul Gonzalez,
Yes.
I think Smile again.
Yeah, Dr. Smile, Dr.
All
G
right,
Smile.
Dr. Smile. So when I lived farther west anyway, so I would go to him for years. I went to him for 10
that's
years.
interesting.
And so he lives there. All right.
Yeah.
He's got his office there.
His whole
right?
family lives there.
Yes.
His kids live there. Everybody lives there.
And it's really, I watched that progression of Doral when we first were involved in that strip of land where Ryder Truck System used to be
Yeah.
right there. And her Betts was here.
Yeah.
And people say, where's this thing called Doral? Go on 36th Street and take a left, and it's right around there. So we see that it's growing. You served again as councilman, and then
I was a founding vice mayor for 5 years.
okay,
And then after that, the vice mayor things changed. Back then it was nominated by the council. Now then it became a rotation. So now it's like every year somebody different. So it's changed. And I've been vice mayor, I think 2 or 3 times after that.
and you I wish I knew the answer. Are the meetings televised?
Yes, they are.
Okay.
They've been televised.
You might
for a long
remember
time.
that for a while they didn't want to televise them, and we kept pushing and pushing
Yeah.
and pushing because we are for open, transparent,
Yeah.
not just government, but you ought to be able to see it, and we're delighted that that
live.
happens, and that's wonderful. So people can be at home,
They can be at home.
and if they have an issue, march on down. What nights
Yeah.
you meet?
Yeah.
What night?
Well, we meet Wednesday nights, the second and fourth Wednesday of the month.
Like
The
my-
first Wednesday is all like legislation, and the fourth is zoning.
A lot of parks in Doral.
Yes.
How many parks are there?
We've built 8 in these 19 years with no cash, no debt on any of those. We're opening up a cultural arts center next month. That was with the bond money. But the average homeowner pays like $20 a month for the bond. And we're building the new 80-acre park, which is going to be state of the
Tell
art.
me about the cultural center.
It's opening up now in October. It's right across from City Hall. I actually, through relationships with one of the residents and building a relationship with a very famous Spanish culture named Manuel Valdez, which we did a huge exhibit from about a year ago, a little bit over a year ago. He's donating a $3 million piece to be put in front of the Culture Arts Center. So the whole Culture Arts Center, I think, costs 12, and the piece that he's putting outside.
And what activities are going to go on in the culture
A
center?
little bit of everything, really. There's going to be art, music. There's meeting rooms, there's exhibit halls. There's things we can do classes there.
The county put up one in at Tropical Park, and some people we know that are in the acting business, they had 4 nights out there last week. They had 200 or 300 people stage, not a stadium, but audience, 4 different nights. And I see people there at night to be able to go. And what a great place that is, because people are there for some common reasons
Right.
to watch that, to honor that, to be
And the
part
new
of that.
park, Doral Central Park, that'll be opening up phase 1 in 24 and phase 2 in 25. There's going to be an amphitheater there that it's the same footprint as Bayfront. It actually will have under roof 600 seats, and then another 5,000 or more can sit in the grass area, lawn area. So that'll be
Take me
spectacular.
back to the 60s and 70s.
And right on the lake, it's going to be beautiful.
80 acres, that's huge.
Huge. And we're going to have an Olympic swimming pool there with spring diving boards for college competitions. We'll be able to go there.
Amazing.
It's amazing. And that was part of the bond. But again, it's like, it's $20 a month for the average homeowner.
And part of that is wise choices by people, by elected officials, with the cooperation of the voters who voted that in. Right. And we're delighted to see that happen because it is a shining star in Miami-Dade County, period. Yeah. There's no fooling around about that.
Right now we have the lowest millage in the county. And part of that has been because we've been very fiscally responsible. Since we started the city, we took almost like, I'm a businessman. I've been in business all my life. I never thought I'd be in politics. I'd probably say I'm still not in politics. I'm more in public service. But we took a business approach to everything and being fiscally responsible. So we've gotten here. We've been able to build all these 8 parks and all these different things with being fiscally responsible and still have $50 million in the reserves.
Tell me about the police department because people want to feel protected.
Safety is probably one of the most important things in our community. I think for every community is, especially in the times we're living. We have invested heavily in our police department from the day one that we started them, both from what we try to keep our officers paid at the higher levels and technology. We have extremely advanced technology in our department. We have a real-time observation center where we have monitors all over, rooms, people monitoring the cameras. We have, in our city, we have a license plate readers. At most of the entrances of the city, we have 4 points that we need to finish this year. We read all the tags coming in. If any tag triggers an alarm saying it's a stolen vehicle, someone looking for it, it'll come up in that real-time center. They'll look at the tag, and if it's a look for, they call the officers and they go stop the vehicle. 3% of the cars coming into our city are red tagged, and then that we have a program for all businesses and communities it's called a Safe Cam program, where they can put a device in any public area cameras they have, like in the parking lot of a business. And if an emergency call or an emergency call comes in, we trigger that camera. We can start seeing what's going on immediately, observe the cars that are there. And now we just approved a program that the same license plate reader system we have, communities can put it in their communities, those cameras. And I mean, at their cost, but they can put it. And the reason why that's important is because 80% of the crimes go detectives can't find the solution because they don't know who the vehicle was, who it was. If you have a camera in the entrance and exit and a crime took place at 10 o'clock, everybody came in and out.
So a lot of people have cameras in their homes and their businesses. So that certainly we hope that it's going to migrate to this bigger picture where people can feel comfortable.
Right.
And some people argue, well, it's my right, whatever. Okay. But you have cameras at your house, all right? Because you want people to know that there's cameras because that in itself sometimes reduces it. And the other part is if there are cameras, the bad guy does it at the risk that he's going to get caught.
And that's the point I was going to. The reality is one of the best ways to prevent crime is sending a message out there. You come to Doral, you're going to get caught. And all these technology we're using helps that. And the next thing we're looking into is using cameras that are motion heat, and you can detect the size of the target. So communities could put those in areas that are on, usually there's no one there. They're unsupervised. And if there's any activity detects, it'll come up in our solution center and we'll know.
So sometimes people don't know that lots of governments use those. Miami-Dade County has a center that for people that are dumping trash. Some bad guys were dumping trash, not a little bit. I'm not talking about littering trash. They came up on the screen. They called the local guy. They arrest the guy as he's doing it. Right.
That's what technology at the end of the day is the way. Transit security is a way to solve it. And again, we're not invading anybody's privacy. It's not like someone's monitoring anything. These are only things that are triggered when there's an emergency or there's a situation.
Let's talk about transit mobility. What does movement look like in Doral?
We've grown, and there's obviously areas of peak hours like everywhere where there's traffic. There's areas that are sometimes more congested than others. We've expanded all the roadways. The city roadways have all been built out already. There's only one missing, 112th Avenue, which hopefully now with the development there will happen. Most of it we develop on the county. But the reality is, once again, if you widen the road, all it does is increase more cars. It actually draws more people there. One of the impacts that we have is that we have a lot of cut through traffic. Someone will get off on 74th Street from the turnpike because they're going to Hialeah and they get off there. They're going to the Medley. So we suffer from that. And one of my goals is to make sure we have now ways of documenting that because of these cameras we have that we tag. So we know how long somebody was in our city if we want to. We don't look by the individual, but we'll know how many vehicles came in and out. And with that, we can get funding. So there's technology out there that I've seen. And because one of the things I say, I'm not waiting for November. I mean, I've been there for 19 years, 17 and 19 years. I've always been proactive and I continue to be proactive. I'm not waiting November to start looking for solutions. I'm constantly looking. So I keep doing what I've always been doing and I'm going to continue. So there's technology out there that is very advanced. And I've already seen it, how it works in other major cities where it uses cameras, radar, and applications to monitor traffic within a city. And then the signalization is adjusted accordingly as needed to ensure that you have constant flow.
The term that the traffic people I speak to, they talk about managing traffic because we're not eliminating traffic. Right. It's just like, what's the best way to go? What's the method of transportation? So let's talk about public transportation in Doral.
Well, we have the trolley, which has been extremely useful. And that's
what are some of the numbers on that?
Oh, I don't know off the top of my head.
It's a lot.
Tens of thousands.
Yes.
Tens of thousands of people. We have, and we readjust the routes where we're in the process of readjusting it now again to make sure we're servicing the community the best way possible. So it's used a lot. It's used a lot by students to go to school, which is great too, because it saves, like, especially the high school, it'll save the parents having to get in cars, go north and come back down south. So it's done. We have a trolley that goes to FIU from Doral. So it's tens of thousands of people, and mass transit in Doral, the trolley works. The problem is anyone that needs to leave Doral, mass transit's not sufficient in the county, and I don't know that it'll ever be. We're fighting with the county, or always trying to get them to go bus routes further north. They only stop at 41st Street, which is a mistake. And because typical stuff like, oh, well, you have a good trolley system, so we don't need to go further 58. But the problem is it's very different because someone needs to go north 58th Street, need to go downtown. They have to get on a trolley, get off. It's a lot of stops. The idea is that, so I think mass transit is important. I think in South Florida, it works in Chicago, New York, whatever, but they built it years ago. I don't see them building enough infrastructure to be able to work.
And I think it's also a cultural and generational thing.
Yes.
All right. Down here, man, I want to pull up to the store and get out of my car in about 20 seconds, be in the store.
Well,
right.
But because we got used to that too, because we never had mass transit. I mean, when I was a kid, I lived in Westchester and I'd get in a bus to go to Coral Gables to watch the movies, to go to the movies. So, but that was about it.
Be really.
I'm old. But you're right. But I think also the other part is that there wasn't enough mass transit here to use it. It just wasn't practical.
And the county spends a lot of time, a lot of resources, to try to manage this from South Dade, the old South Dade busway, $300 million to get that thing going. Part of the question is, will people go on it? Who knows? All right. But we also know as a community, if we don't do it, we're never going to know.
Well, the more you do, the more connectivity you make, the more efficient we become. And eventually people will use it. Where you can't use it is if you don't have enough connectivity that you get to downtown Miami. Now, where do you go besides a Metro mover? And you're stuck there. I believe there's a need for a north-south connecting Dayland to Palmetto.
The Miami-Dade County sent out letters to all the cities and said, listen, we need your cooperation with the rapid transit zoning area, which essentially is trying to address the issues as far as living and as far as mobility. What is the position of the Doral been, and what does it look like? Because I think the county is going to give everybody 2 years.
Doral has the railway on the south side on 12th Street, which we've been talking. They have the big bus station just west of Dolphin Mall. And as far as housing and mobility, there is opportunities that will have a minimal impact on our community on what's existing already residential, but will help, different names, workforce housing and that, a lot of times people think workforce housing and they think they don't like it or affordable. Basically, we're talking about someone, a teacher, a police officer, or can work and live in the area.
Down the street from here is a school, J.R. Lee School, which was a regular elementary school, and it's been used a little bit recently. So the county, the school board and the county, they're going to put up an apartment building there. Yeah. In an old building, all right, there's still going to be an educational component in it. So part around town, not in Doral, there's some old structures, right, that may be torn down where some new things will go.
And that I think will come. It's not in our master plan right now. It's something we've actually clearly discussed, but we need to address that. We have addressed housing that's affordable or workforce housing. With it's complicated doing with law ordinances and stuff, but we've done some stuff. We got more to do, and again, because we also Doral's gotten expensive, and it's becoming unaffordable for a lot of people that work at a store or work, and not only that, Doral is a need because, and in fact, it's high on the priority of Doral is a community that has multiple generations living in it. You'll see the grandparents, the kids, and the grandkids, and the great grandkids grow, and they want to stay in Doral because the whole family's there. So, but then they can't afford it, so they may be living still at home with mom and dad. So we need to find solutions for that, and we are looking at that, and how can we do it, and also with minimum impact to our community, but to make sure that we address that.
One of the things that's being talked about is allowing some people near this area to allow them to put in the term as mother-in-law's quarters in the backyard of these homes, so that the grandparents can stay, or maybe the parents move into the apartment, the grandparents stay in the house, or maybe it's for the children. So we're starting to hear conversations about
that probably wouldn't work, only because I think there's very few houses that have enough land in Doral that would work in.
I live in horse country, and we have those mother-in-law's quarters that are common, right? For that. So here we are, the election. The last day to vote is November 8th. Right? Absentee ballots go out when?
October 8th.
All right. Which is coming up.
Coming up, very close.
Most of the people say you have to win the absentee ballot to win ultimately. It's certainly a big part of it.
Well, the key with absentee ballots, they've changed a lot from what the old days were, where maybe a lot of even games went on. In reality, what I've noticed in a couple of last elections is the percentage of vote on the absentee ballot is very similar to the turnout or the vote the person would get total. The difference is what you're seeing is that maybe 50% of the votes coming in absentee ballots. So it's not that you got to win that, you do, but it's basically the same percentage across the board.
So a mistake that I made several years ago is the absentee ballot. I put it on my desk at home. A week later, it was on my desk at home. A week after that, where is it? I couldn't find it. And you know what? Then it just slipped away. So my advice to people, you get the absentee ballot, sit down, fill it out, and mail it.
And if you want to vote absentee and you're afraid of the mail and you want to make sure, you can take it to the elections department, deliver it in person, even election day.
Yeah. Oh, so, right. And by the way, one of the things I did is I took pictures of both sides. All right. And then I actually called up and asked them if they got it. Yes, we received it. And it was very comforting.
You could check online also.
Say it again?
You could check online.
Oh, you check. And so the people that were concerned, so they can take it. They can take it in.
Take it
right?
in.
You can check on it. All right. And I advise people, make a copy of that thing so you have it.
Yeah.
So you have something to do, so they don't have to wonder about it.
Yeah. I mean, the key is you want your vote counted, and then some people are afraid of absentee for that reason. There's really no excuse not to vote. But because you have the 2 weeks early voting, you have the mail-in ballot, you can request online also. You can request it. You can register to vote online. So everything's available online to do. And you just got to, either mail it or turn it in or go vote early. There's a lot of locations around the county.
So if you don't mind, why don't you give us 3 reasons why somebody should vote for you?
Well, I think the most important part is that most of us are tired of politicians just make promises. I mean, anybody can make a promise. The question is, what have you done? What's your track record? So when we talk about my experience, it's not just experience like we've been talking about. I've been a part of everything that we've done in the last 19 years. I have the knowledge and the experience that no one else has. I have more years of service even than the current mayor does. And I've been a part of it all from the very beginning. So the problem is people need to know that, because if they don't know that, so in that sense, there's no one even that comes close. So the only other thing you could say is, well, I want a fresh mind, I have all the visions, and the best way to have the visions is to know what already worked and didn't work. So I'm not there to try to invent something. I know where we got to go. So that, and the new vision comes also from, as far as experience and track record, results, not just promises, results. Come November, we're going to have 2 brand new council members, one with 2 years experience and one person with 4 years experience, running a city that has 80,000 residents, 14,000 businesses, in the center of this universe, the center of Miami-Dade County. If you don't have someone that has knowledge, experience, and not just even government experience, I got 40 years experience in the business world. I'm in the insurance and HR world. I'm an organizational development expert. I work with teams. I've worked with every council member in the city of Doral since its creation, except for one, the one that I replaced when I came in 14, and both mayors. I've always known how to work in a team. I don't need a team. I'm not there to shake up the city. I'm not there to fire anybody, which is important because we have one of the best managers we've ever had and one of the best city attorneys we've ever had. We have a great team. We just got to make them work and work as a team and get rid of the politics of it. And so the reason why is that if we want to make sure we keep Doral on track, if we want to make sure we can take Doral to the next level, you need someone that knows and has the not that just talks and that is actually fulfilled. And it's not there. I'm not there for opportunism. I'm not there to improvise. I'm not there to jump political seats. I'm not going anywhere after Doral. My commitment's only been with Doral from the very beginning, and it continues to be Doral. Who else can lead the city better than that?
So the current mayor was retired. He was term limited out.
No, he wasn't.
Oh, he had
2 years left.
2 years. He ran and won for the
Won
Miami-Dade County Commission.
Which is why the seats opened up. If not, I wouldn't be running because I would have been termed out, and he would have stayed there 2 more years. So I would on my way home. But when he announced, and before he even announced, he was already saying he was going to run, is when I started thinking about it. And with my commitment to Doral, it's important that we stay on track. 10 years ago, something very similar happened. And we had 2 brand new people, 2 years experience, and the things started falling
So
apart.
institutional knowledge from a business and political point is very important.
Critical.
Instead of it's sort of like you run into somebody, you don't even have to, that you've known for a long time. You don't have to start the conversation from the beginning. You can just pick up in the middle and move forward.
Which is what I was saying before. I'm not waiting for November to do these things. I've been doing them all the years I've been there, and I'm still doing them. I'm looking for solutions for the things we have. So it's just to come to I mean, you may like somebody better. They may be, whatever, more pleasant. I'm a people person, but maybe some people think I'm serious and I'm not. You know me. You've known me for a long time.
Yeah.
So, but this goes a little bit deeper than that. This is about picking the leader of a council that has the track record, the experience, the know-how, and not only just to run government and run business, but how to deal with people.
And if people want to find out more about you, they can go to your website.
My website, my Instagram, my Facebook,
yes,
everywhere. Pete for Doral Mayor.
Yeah. Say it again. Pete
for Doral Mayor.
And I like Pete.
And I like Pete.
I like Pete. You got a pin. Maybe one day you'll give me one.
I like Pete.
Pete Cabrera, thank you so much.
Great. My pleasure.
Folks, again, the election's coming up. Last day to vote is November 8th. Absentee ballots go out in a few weeks. And thanks for joining us, folks. Have a great day.